Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 7. We will chant the first 7 verses.
श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यासक्तमनः पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः असंशयं समग्रं माम् यथा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु ज्ञानं तेऽहं सविज्ञानम् इदं वक्ष्याम्यशेषतः यज्ञात्वा नेह भूयोऽन्यत् ज्ञातव्यमवशिष्यते मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिद्यतति सिद्धये यततामपि सिद्धानाम् कश्चिन्मां वेत्ति तत्त्वतः भूमिरापो नलो वायुः खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहङ्कार इतीयं मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा अपरेयमितस्त्वन्याम् प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम् जीवभूतां महाबाहो ययेदं धार्यते जगत् एतद्योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणीत्युपधारय अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा मत्तः परतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव
Amitji, you're on mute.
Hello, mic testing. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So last week we were on verse number 3 of chapter 7, and we could not complete the explanation. So I'm reading the translation, verse number 3 from the book. Among thousands of men, scarce one strives for perfection. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Of those who strive and succeed, scarce one knows me in a sense. Me meaning supreme reality. So what do we learn from this verse? The first point is human birth is rare. To be born as a human being is the greatest opportunity. Now, why are we saying that? Because only as a human being you can purify your personality. You can purify your desires and you can eradicate your desires completely. And when you completely remove all your desires, you reach a state called as self-realization or God realization. So no other creature is endowed with this gift. So to be born as a human being itself is a great opportunity for all of us. We often discuss the equation human being minus desires equals God or state of self realization. So, this is where we get it. This is that opportunity. Number one. Number two, among human beings, how many are really interested in spiritual evolution? Not many. Handful of people are interested. Forget about the goal of enlightenment. So why most people they are not interested in spiritual evolution? There are a couple of reasons. The first reason is vast majority they are caught up in the enchantments of the world. They are enamored by the world. So the whole life goes in the pursuit of acquisition and enjoyment. So they are feeding their desires instead of purifying or eliminating their desires. So the reason is they are completely caught up in the world. They are enamored by the world, and they pursue objects and beings of the world for acquisition and enjoyment. Second reason is when you contact the world, it gives instant pleasure. But what we don't understand is what lies in store for us in future. That's the problem. If we had that clarity, life would be very simple. If you eat junk food, definitely it gives you pleasure. But what happens in the end? We need not get into the discussion, but we all know that. If you function selfishly in life, to begin with, it gives you pleasure. But then all your mental illnesses, they are associated with selfishness, which we don't understand because we don't have this knowledge. If you are possessive about your partner, about your children, it gives you that instant kick, but which is a root cause of conflict, confrontation, and separation in future. So therefore, elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, he talks about this obsession with sense objects or objects and beings in the world as wombs of sorrow. Meaning you don't see it, but it comes out in the future. That is reason number two. Third reason is if at all somebody makes an attempt to improve himself or herself, they don't see results. And people, they want instant results. So therefore, a lot of people, even if they take to the spiritual path, their spiritual journey does not last. Because they want like quick results. And there are no quick results in life, which includes spiritual path. And then he says, among those who strive for perfection, let's say people like you and me who are sincere, definitely. Rare is a person who has that shraddha, who has that consistency till he or she reaches the ultimate. Because somewhere you get caught up in life, even if you are sincere, you may get caught up to your family, relatively speaking, and due to that, you may deviate. You may launch on your journey, with that conviction and inspiration, but then you may get stuck. It could be family, it could be wealth, it could be power, or you could get attached to the spiritual path itself. So rare is a seeker who maintains that objectivity. So therefore, he says, scarce one knows me in essence. Now, when Krishna is saying that scarce one knows me in essence, see, he seems to be encouraging genuine spiritual seekers. He is telling them that you should put extra efforts. It's not easy, but you have the capacity, you have the potential. If you are consistent, if you keep yourself fixated on the goal, yes, you can reach that goal. And also, he's cautioning at the same time that the ultimate goal of self realization is not easy. So, he's doing two things. First, is cautioning it's not easy, but also he is telling a genuine seeker that is possible, but you need to put extra efforts. So, find out where are you getting caught up in life. I'm talking about sincere seekers. That is understood. I believe all of us are sincere, but that is not enough. The moment you lose objectivity, meaning the moment mind takes over, it gets attached to something or the other, some or the other part of the world, objects or beings of the world, something tangible, it could be something intangible. And that is where you stay put. So you need to be aware of this. Number one. Number two, you need to identify such pockets where you feel you are getting attached, and you need to put extra work to come out of these attachments. The fact remains that every human being has a potential to reach the ultimate. So these are the main points in verse number 3. So are you okay with this verse? Verse number 4, please.
भूमिरापो नलो वायुः खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहङ्कार इतीयं मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा भूमिरापो नलो वायुः खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहङ्कार इतीयं मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा.
Translation: Earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and also ego. Such is the eightfold division of my Prakriti, nature. So he is talking about, verse number 4 talks about the lower aspects of Brahman. Brahman is Vedantic word for supreme reality, Father in heaven. All these are synonyms. And verse number 5 talks about the higher aspects of Brahman, supreme reality. So what we see, the world which is made up of objects and beings, is nothing but lower aspect of Brahman, which is manifest. It's nothing but Brahman, is nothing but supreme reality. And also what supports this manifest world is again supreme reality, nothing but Brahman. There is a rope, boy superimposes a snake on a rope. Snake is manifest, rope is unmanifest. Snake is nothing but the rope, isn't it? And what supports the snake, the substratum of the snake, is the rope. So similarly, there is only truth, there is only reality, there is only Brahman. So where there is Brahman, where there is supreme reality, due to ignorance, you and I have superimposed a pluralistic world of objects and beings. Now, what is this pluralistic world of objects and beings which is manifest? Is nothing but Brahman, is nothing but supreme reality. Another way of saying it, what supports this manifest world is supreme reality, which is unmanifest. So both manifest and unmanifest is nothing but Brahman, supreme reality, God. So here is discussing the manifest world, the lower aspect of Brahman. So it is made up of what? Space, air, fire, water, earth, mind, intellect, and ego. In the book is explained quite well, but I'm just quickly going to cover the main points. Now, world is made up of 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, earth. Everything in the world, universe is made up of these 5 elements. When these 5 elements, they are in purest form and nascent form, it forms subtle matter. And our inner personality is made up of subtle matter. Mind, intellect is nothing but matter, but is subtle matter. And when these 5 elements, they grossify, they go through a process of grossification, you get gross body, which is nothing but physical body. So this gross body, this physical body is matter. Same elements, 5 elements, when they grossify. Our inner personality, our subtle body, which is made up of mind, intellect, ego, is made up of same 5 elements in their purest form. So the entire personality, physical as well as inner personality, is nothing but matter. The difference is inner personality is subtle matter, gross personality is gross matter. So in the book, it is quite explained quite well. So gross and subtle matter together constitute the lower nature of Brahman. This is what he's saying. This is manifest to us. And then the rest is quite straightforward if you read in the book. The physical body has 5 organs of perception and 5 organs of action. These 5 organs of perception, they are called as Jnanendriyas. Jnana Indriyas. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. They are the 5 organs of perception through which you contact the world. You receive stimuli from the world. And then there are 5 organs of action. They are called as Karmendriyas, through which you act. So you receive stimuli from the world, 5 organs of perception. It is processed, mind, intellect, they react to it. And then through organs of action, you actually act in the world. It's quite straightforward. And mind, intellect, ego is nothing but subtle matter, which we already discussed. Same 5 elements in their purest form. Mind is feelings, emotions. Intellect is capacity to think and reason. Ego is that claimant in you, that thought in you, which arrogates everything to yourself. This is me. This is my body. These are my feelings. These are my thoughts. It's a claimant in you. It's that arrogating principle in you, the ego. And ego separates you from the supreme reality. And innocently, you are feeding your ego throughout your life, isn't it? It's like a wave. Wave is nothing but the ocean. The material of the wave is nothing but the ocean. Actually, it has got no identity apart from the ocean. It is nothing but the ocean. But due to ignorance, wave has assumed an identity, which it actually doesn't have. But due to ignorance, it has assumed that identity. I am this, I'm a big wave, I'm a small wave. So that I is the beginning of the separation. And also that I continues that separation. Are you getting it? The ego, the individuality has been created because of I. And instead of crushing that I, liquidating that I, that ego, due to ignorance, we keep on feeding our ego throughout our life. So, therefore, ego is the worst aspect of our personality because it pins you down to the terrestrial world. The purpose of the study of Vedanta, is nothing but liquidation of ego. So, anyway, all this is lower aspects of Brahman. Are we clear? If it is getting too technical, you can read from the book, but it's quite straightforward. And then in verse number 5, he explains the higher aspect of Brahman, supreme reality. Let's chant verse number 5, please.
अपरेयमितस्त्वन्याम् प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम् जीवभूतां महाबाहो ययेदं धार्यते जगत् अपरेयमितस्त्वन्याम् प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम् जीवभूतां महाबाहो ययेदं धार्यते जगत्.
This is the Lord, referring to verse number 4. But different from it, O Mahabaho, O Arjuna, know my higher Prakriti, nature, the life element by which this universe is supported. It's quite straightforward. So, in verse number 4, he talked about matter. Gross matter, subtle matter. Are we clear? So, matter has no life in it, either gross matter or subtle matter, meaning gross body as well as mind, intellect. It is nothing but matter. So, it has no life in it. And also, what supports it, the part of supreme reality. The word we use in this context is spirit because it fits in. So matter has no life in it. Spirit has no life in it. But when spirit comes in contact with matter, there is life. That is you and me. It's called as jiva. Jiva means individuality. Just as electricity has no light in it, the bulb has no light in it. But when electricity passes through bulb, we get light. So similarly, this body has no life in it. It's nothing but matter, gross matter, 5 elements. Subtle body, which is mind, feelings, emotions, is nothing but subtle matter. That also has no life in it. But when this combination of subtle matter and gross matter comes in contact with the supreme reality, there is this expression of life, which is called as jiva. Jiva means individuality. Are we clear? I think it's quite straightforward, isn't it? Point number 1. Point number 2. Now, this jiva, which is you and I, this individuality, you have a clear choice. You have that capacity to focus your attention on the material aspects of your personality or on the spirit, which is the substratum of the personality. So I repeat, every jiva, every individual, all of us have that capacity, have that choice. You may use it, you may not use it. What is that choice? That you can focus your attention either on the spirit or on the matter. By matter, we mean body, mind, and intellect. By spirit, in layman's language, we mean God or supreme reality. Everybody, every human being has that capacity. No other creature has this capacity. That is why we keep on saying why human birth is so rare, isn't it? Now, if your attention is on the matter, body, mind, intellect, what happens? You develop ego and you get involved in the world and you become possessive about whatever you contact. This is the starting point of ego, my personality. So if you focus on body, mind, intellect, you develop ego and you get attached and involved in the world. My pleasures or my joys, my sorrow, my ideas, my ideologies, my family, my possessions, my wealth, my power, etc. Number one. Number two, world affects body, mind, and intellect. You can't prevent that. World is nothing but pairs of opposites. Heat and cold, joy and sorrow, profit and loss, health, ill health. It will affect body, mind, intellect. You cannot prevent that. But the world cannot affect the spirit. So if your focus is on body, mind, and intellect, you are tossed by the world. And we can clearly see when it is pronounced in some people. Some simple sore throat, headache they get, and what fuss. The whole family has to suffer. Oh my God, I don't know what's happening to me. What's happening to me? Slight fluctuation at physical level they can't handle. Some feeling somebody is nasty, somebody says something unpleasant to that person. He or she cannot handle it. That disturbance at emotional level, it goes on forever. So when it is pronounced, we can see that, isn't it? So, number one, when your attention is on body, mind, intellect, you will develop ego. You become possessive about everything. You get involved, entangled in the world. Number two, world will affect body, mind, intellect if your focus is on body, mind, intellect. But if your focus is on the spirit, you're not affected, relatively speaking. 100% focus on the spirit, then you're an enlightened person. And the third point is you become mundane. See, we are discussing what happens when your focus is on body, mind, intellect. Are you with me? So the third point in that is you become mundane, routine, monotonous life. You just exist. It's like a dreamer who is completely lost. Now, what is dreamer? Dreamer is nothing but a waker. He doesn't belong to the dream state, but he's lost. And he's let's say comfortable in a dream. Goes to office, good job, comfortable home, family members are good, no problems, financially is well settled, takes a break few times in a year, weekends he or she goes for social gatherings, attends weddings, some charity he does here and there. But it's all routine, monotonous life because there is no awareness of the purpose of life. Are you getting it? That dreamer example explains it. A dreamer who has no clue that he belongs to the waker. He is a waker. Similarly, you are completely lost in life. So the word we use is routine, mechanical, monotonous existence. That's what all animals are doing. Morning till night, what are they doing? If you have a pet at home, you observe. I mean, they're cute. Of course, they're cute, but what are they doing all day? Or if you watch documentaries, National Geographic or Animal Planet, and there's so many documentaries, beautiful documentaries. Some of them are quite educational, but whole life a bird or a beast spends in what? Is routine, mechanical, monotonous existence. So there is no thought of What's my purpose in life? What's my higher goal in life? That's what we are trying to understand. If your focus is on body, mind, and intellect, you get completely lost in the world. Perceptions, actions, feelings, thoughts, ideas, ideologies, acquisition, enjoyment. There is nothing beyond that. There is nothing more than that. But if your attention is on the spirit, the self in you, the God principle in you, you have that choice. You become objective, meaning you're not affected by the world, relatively speaking. Profit and loss, you understand, it's part and parcel of life. That's what I mean by objective. As a result, you are peaceful, you are content, you evolve because you're not feeding desires. If you're focused on body, mind, intellect throughout life, you keep on feeding desires at physical, emotional, intellectual level. But when your focus is on the self, you understand that I need to reduce my desires and eventually I need to eliminate my desires. So you evolve when your focus is on the self, the spirit. You liquidate your ego as opposed to you feed your ego, isn't it? If you're focused on body, mind, intellect throughout your life, you keep on feeding your ego. But when you're focused on the self, that God principle in you, you start liquidating your ego. And therefore, you do justice to human birth. If your focus is on the self. So you decide what you want to do with your life. That's the beauty. Scriptures, they don't tell us what to do. See, Krishna gives sermon, 18 chapters he gives, and towards the end of the 18th chapter, he says, Yatha ichchati tatha kuru. Now you do what you want to do. I have given you the highest knowledge. Now you decide how you want to manage your life. So they are educating us, all these great men, they're educating us. This is the purpose of your life. This is your capacity. This is your potential. Now you decide what you want to do. You want to live the life just like an animal, acquire, enjoy, acquire, enjoy. There is nothing more than that you want to do. Fine, it's your choice. Or you want to shift your focus to the God principle in you and do justice, do justice to human birth, find true purpose of life, find true fulfillment in life. You have that capacity. You have that choice. You decide. So are we okay? Verse number 5. Verse number 6.
एतद्योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणीत्युपधारय अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा एतद्योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणीत्युपधारय अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा.
Know this to be the womb of all beings, referring to verse number 4 and 5. I am the origin and dissolution of the whole universe. Now, when he says, know this to be the womb of all beings, he is referring to the lower and higher nature of Brahman, which is the underlying structure of all the beings. Already is covered, right? Every being is nothing but spirit plus matter. That's the combination. That's the underlying structure of any being. That's what he's referring to. And I am the origin and the dissolution of the whole universe. I meaning supreme reality. It's quite straightforward. And if you understand ocean and wave example, it becomes very clear. Ocean is saying, I am the origin and the dissolution of all the waves. Waves, they come from the ocean, they emerge from the ocean, they exist in the ocean, and they merge back into the ocean. So similarly, you and I emerge from the supreme reality, exist in the supreme reality, and merge back into the supreme reality. In fact, the whole world, the whole universe. The context here is we're talking about beings. All these galaxies, all these planets, they came from where? Therefore, Bible puts it beautifully. God created world out of nothing. It's poetic way of saying meaning nothing, meaning everything. From that supreme reality, this manifest world has come. It exists in supreme reality. Millions of years, billions of years is nothing. If you look at infinity, just blink your eye, it's all gone, dissolved. So beings, objects and beings, they emerge from supreme reality. They exist in supreme reality. They merge back into supreme reality. Matthew Arnold, beautifully, very philosophical way of putting it. He says, life is like an arrow. It is there in Somaji's quotation book. Radha is not here. Immediately should have shown that slide. Hopefully within few weeks. Matthew Arnold says, life is like an arrow, shot from the dark, flutters for a while, shines for a while, and goes back to the dark. Matthew Arnold, life is like an arrow. You and me, that is our life. Shot from the dark, flutters for a while, and goes back to the dark. What a statement. That flutters is that is my life, your life. I had best of life, I had worst of life, I am this, I am that. That is that fluttering, involved in perception, emotions, and thoughts. The whole thing goes back to the origin. It's a simple, straightforward verse number 6. Know this to be the womb of all beings. Verse number 4 and 5. Every being is made up of spirit and matter. That's the material of any being. And I am the origin and dissolution of the whole universe. So, verse number 4, 5, 6 put together, some kind of basics you get, isn't it? So, it is useful. When you understand these basics, you get clarity. So, are you okay? Now, the second topic starts from verse number 7. 7 to 11. It is called Brahman manifests itself. I keep on saying Brahman meaning supreme reality. The Sanskrit word for supreme reality or God, equivalent of Father in heaven or Allah. All of these are synonyms. Let's chant verse number 7. It's a very famous, oft quoted verse. Most Indians would know this verse.
मत्तः परतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव मत्तः परतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतम् सूत्रे मणिगणा इव
There is not higher than me, O Dhananjaya, O Arjuna. All this is strung on me as rows of gems on a string. Sutre Manigana Eva. He is referring to the necklace. That thread which goes through the necklace, that thread breaks, what happens? The whole thing is gone, isn't it? That's the comparison. So the supreme reality holds the entire universe together. Step by step, we will understand. So, explanation number 1. So, what do we mean by that? That supreme reality, in layman's language, God holds the entire world together, the whole universe together. It is nothing but expression of innumerable laws which we see in world, internally and externally. If these laws did not exist, they are based on cause and effect, there will be absolute chaos. The world will come to a standstill. In fact, the world cannot sustain. If law of gravity does not function even for half an hour, what will happen? Absolute chaos it will be. If the ratio of male and female is not maintained, so who is maintaining that? Imagine 90% men, 10% female, other way around. I mean, what will happen? Absolute chaos. H2O, if that formula is disturbed, we won't get water. The food which we eat is digested. No, who is doing that? We don't know what is happening. Somebody is handling the whole thing. So there are laws after laws after laws after laws. Who is this lawgiver? So we posit we don't know. In that sense, we are using the word supreme reality. But there is a controller of the whole thing, which is nothing but the laws, expression of laws. That is one way of understanding this verse. That supreme reality holds the entire world together, universe together, you and I together. Why we say that? Because world is nothing but expression of innumerable laws which are functioning meticulously. To the T they are functioning. Number 1. Number 2, when he says me, it means pure consciousness, which is the substratum of our personality, which pervades our entire personality. We go through 3 different states of consciousness. Right now, we are in a waking state. Then there is a dream state of consciousness, and there is a deep sleep state of consciousness, where you experience nothingness. So, one time you are a waker, another time you are a dreamer, another time you are a deep sleeper. So, these are 3 different states of consciousness. But what enables these 3 states of consciousness is pure consciousness. And that is same. That is the substratum. I may say I am Amit. Neha may say she is Neha. Lalita ji, she's in California. She says, yes, I am Lalita ji. So these are 3 different personalities. We are conscious of our own world right now as a waker I'm talking about. But what makes us conscious? Neha, I don't know whether she's in Indiana or Troy. Where are you? Or India?
I'm in Atlanta, Mamiji.
Oh, sorry, Atlanta. You're in Atlanta. She's in Atlanta. It's a different geographical place. I'm in West Bloomfield, Detroit. Lalita ji, she's in California. 3 different personalities in 3 different places. But what is the common factor? Right now we are wakers. So it's the same pure consciousness which enables us to be conscious of our waking state and our world. Then all of us will dream and we may assume a different personality. It's possible. Like Neha may become whatever, Amit may become whatever, Lalita ji may become whatever. But the pure consciousness is going to be same. That does not change. And then deep sleep state, we all understand that. That I, that pure consciousness, pervades all three states of consciousness. Then again, there are different stages of life we all go through. You're a baby, you're a toddler, you're a child, you're a youth, you're an adult, you're a grown up person, then you're an old person. So, all these are different stages of life, but that I, that pure consciousness remains same throughout these different stages. Again, we go through various experiences in our life. Perception. You hear, you see, you taste, you touch, you smell. So all these are different experiences, but the same pure consciousness back these varied experiences. Similarly, various emotions we go through, isn't it? At times you're happy, at times you're not happy, but both emotions, they are enabled, enlivened by pure consciousness. Similarly, thoughts. So, in that sense, it has to be understood that supreme reality, Brahman, is that force which holds everything together as rows of gems on a string. Are you getting that comparison? Another way of understanding is your life, my life, everybody's life is nothing but a series of conditioned consciousness. Right now, you're conscious of my voice. So it's conditioned consciousness. If I ask you, are you aware, are you conscious? You cannot answer that question. Immediately you will ask, of what? Of what? Yes, I am aware of the sound. I am aware of the humming of heating furnace which is running. I am aware of the birds which are chirping in a distance, so on and so forth. So it is conditioned consciousness. But what backs this conditioned consciousness is pure consciousness, without which you cannot be aware of anything. But we are so caught up in conditioned consciousness that we completely miss the conditioned consciousness, the pure consciousness, which enables us to be aware of, conscious of everything. So you're constantly at a thought level, one thought to another thought. But what backs any thought, what backs any feeling is nothing but pure consciousness. It's like water is flowing constantly. So therefore, you don't see the bed. The moment that water is still, you will see the bed. That's a comparison. So you are engaged all the time in conditioned consciousness, my perceptions, my feelings, my thoughts. So therefore, you don't have the capacity to investigate and find out what is backing my conditioned consciousness, what makes me aware of the sound. These are Upanishads they talk. It's an eye of the eye, it is an ear of the ear. So what makes me hear? You investigate, you will hit pure consciousness. What makes me see? What animals me register a sight? If you go deeper, you will hit pure consciousness. What makes me feel emotions? Good emotions, bad emotions. If you investigate, if you go deeper, you will hit pure consciousness. But You're so caught up in the world. Your mind is so disturbed. Even if somebody is calm, still it's a disturbed mind. You have no inclination to find out what is it which backs all my experiences at physical, emotional, intellectual level. That is that pure consciousness. And this is how study reflection helps. First of all, you become aware of these concepts to begin with. And secondly, you start working on your desires through your study and reflection. And as mind becomes calm, these concepts, they make sense. See, otherwise, if you're hearing it for the first time, just for argument's sake, I mean, what do we understand? You know, yes. Second phase of understanding is yes, you understand, you're clear, but you're not able to apply that because constantly, you're jumping from one thought to the other. That's the true meaning of the word contemplation. We say, be contemplative. Contemplate on what? Pure consciousness. Awareness has to be there. So these are two main explanations of verse number 7. There is not higher than me, or Dhananjaya, meaning supreme reality. We already discussed that. The whole universe is functioning based on laws after laws after laws. We see it clearly expressed in life, all facets of life. Whether you go internal, whether you go external, it's nothing but laws after laws after laws. So all this is strung on me as rows of gems on a string. We saw various examples, 3 states of consciousness, different stages of life, different perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. But the whole thing is backed by pure consciousness, isn't it? Everything is lit up because of electricity. Even for few minutes, there is no electricity. What? I mean, pitch darkness. The entire world, entire universe of objects and beings is sustained, supported by the pure consciousness, which is unmanifest. And then from verse number 8 onwards, for 3 to 4 verses, he goes on explaining that how Brahman, the supreme reality, is the quintessence of everything, just to educate us. It's a different style of education. That we'll see in the next class, verse number 8, 9, 10, 11. So any questions from what we discussed today? Yeah, I know the video quality is not good, so we are working on the camera. I'm using my laptop camera, which is not good quality. Is Jigar here?
I didn't see him, Amiji.
Yeah, so I will talk to him. He has to come and fix it. I'm sure it's a minor problem, but
Sure.
good to have best quality.
Okay.
So any doubts from what we discussed today?
It's still a good quality, Amiji. Image is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but why not have the best,
True.
So no questions, all clear? Okay, so I will see you next week if you're attending Bhagavad Gita. If you're attending Holocaust of Attachment, then we have a class as usual tomorrow from 10 to 11. Have a good day.
Hari Om, Amiji.
Thank you,
Hari Om,
Amiji.
Amiji.
Thank
you. Hari Om, Amiji.
Thank you, Amiji.
Bye.
Thank you.